The reactor is going into stasis. Now is your chance to complete this sabotage. Use whatever you can to make sure it never works again. The reactor has gone critical. Get to extraction immediately.
out. Use your void bodies to absorb them. Good. Now it'll stay hurt. You broke them. Nice. Keep hitting them hard enough, and eventually they get it.
Come on.
So we learn the importance of clarity and purpose.
Plenty needs saying to.
Alright, so Titania. First one's okay. Second is very good. Third is also good. And of course the fourth is the best. This is an A+ Warframe. I wouldn't consider her to be S tier, simply because even though she could turn into a small butterfly and kill everything within the area, her other powers kind of timer cooldown is not really helpful to your fellow teammates because they take long to take effect. And well, let me just retrace myself. It is an S tier Warframe. It's an A+ to S- Warframe. That's as best as I could give it. She can die pretty easy over time if you don't have enough energy to give to her. Enough energy to return to yourself, so her fourth can work. And if you don't have enough efficiency, it takes away from her survivability as well, because efficiency is necessary for energy per second for her fourth form, as well as duration. So this is a strength, efficiency, and duration-based Warframe. The duration and the efficiency work in conjunction to each other. And that's the most important thing you have to know more than anything. The balance between efficiency and duration. If you have a lot of efficiency, you not have enough duration, it's not going to work. You're still going to have a lot of energy drain per second for your fourth. If you have too much duration but not enough efficiency, you're still going to have a lot of energy drain per second for your fourth. Her fourth is her strongest ability. But you need enough duration for your other abilities as well, and enough efficiency in order to cast those as well. This is a crowd control Warframe. That's not limited to vicinity based. As an AoE, she could crowd control by going to single target by single target, which a lot of people say is not very good because it's not an area of effect, whether it's by 180 or by 45 degrees directly in front of her, or 360 all around. She specifically has to aim it at the individual targets in order for that effect to go and then spread to others. Not a lot of people like that. That's why I say she could be anywhere from an A plus to an S minus. I keep her as an A plus simply because of those abilities and what those abilities does. Yeah, so not my cup of tea, Warframe. Fourth ability is pretty much the only thing that's really S tier about this Warframe. Otherwise, I would keep this Warframe as an A plus to an A Warframe. That's my take on this. Fourth ability, if it wasn't for a fourth, she would probably be anywhere from a B plus to an A minus Warframe at best. So that was Titania. So now I'm going into Trinity. I'm going to not speak about Trinity, but I will say one thing about Trinity. This is an S plus Warframe, or at S Warframe to an S plus Warframe if you subsume one of her abilities, you subsume her first. So if you subsume the Well of Life, if you subsume Well of Life with a better ability, then this becomes an S plus Warframe. This Warframe can survive past 2 hours easily if you know how all four of her functions work in conjunction with each other. In all truth, it's her second, her third, and her fourth abilities that are all working in conjunction with each other. And what I mean by that is the link can just distribute certain amount of damage to an energy over time, and while reducing armor to enemies. And energy is necessary to cast, so you could repeat casting your third and your fourth and your first. And what this does, this allow you to get energy return over time. Now if you have high duration lock on the enemy, over a period of time you get energy in return for that period of time. Now let's say you don't want to get rid of the first. What you would do is you would cast the first on the enemy, then lock on with the second abilities. So while this enemy is stunned, energy per second is on this enemy by duration period. You get duration over time through this enemy as well. Even though this enemy may not die until you turn off this ability, you would get energy over time. What this does, it not only takes energy out of the enemy and give it back to you, but it gives you energy over time. So you get a certain amount of energy after casting it onto the enemy, and as long as you have duration on this enemy, you get constant energy over time if it doesn't kill them. And the only way for the power not to kill them is to lock on with the first abilities. So if you're going to get rid of the first, you have to make sure the first is, whatever you subsume it for, is equal as powerful as Trinity's first. That's one of the reasons why this is an S plus Warframe. 3 of her abilities work very well. In fact, you could even argue that the first abilities works well because it's in conjunction with the second ability. This Warframe can last for an easily 2 hours within a mission, or for a full 2 hours. Like I've always said before, if a Warframe could go more than an hour and a half in a mission by themselves, um, if you're talking from zero, or if you're talking from level 1 enemy to level 5 enemy, and level 5 enemy to level 10, and level 10 enemies to level 15, and then 15 to 20, and as long as the levels just keep increasing by 5s or by 10s in mission over time, because every period within a mission, every 5 minutes, the level of an enemy increase to the next level ascending. So if you're in a mission for 5 minutes, the enemy is no longer level 1 to 5 enemies, they are level 5 to 10 enemies. And if you're in a mission for more than 10 minutes, the enemies are no longer level 10, they're level 10 enemies going all the way to, like, say, level 15. And if you're in a mission for more than 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, the enemies are no longer level 15 anymore. They're level 20, going to like level 25, 30. And if you're in a mission for more than 30 minutes, the enemies are no longer from level 30. They go on away from level 30 to like level 40 enemies. So it goes up every 10 levels for every 5 minutes. So once you go past, I would say, an hour, you're fighting an enemy that's higher than level 60. You're actually fighting enemies that are level 60 to about level 70, and sometimes level 75. So if you go past, like, say, 1 hour, actually, yeah, if you go past an hour and an hour 30 or an hour and 20, yeah, you've already gone past the 2 hour marker. So any enemies you fight that's at level 120 to level 135, you've already passed the 2 hour marker. So and you see this when you're fighting what is it, Archon. If you see this when you're doing Archon missions, the enemy can be anywhere from level 130 all the way to level 180. So if you can beat the highest level for an Archon mission, enemies in the Archon mission, you're basically fighting enemies that are beyond the 2 hour range if you're starting from 0 going all the way up. So that said, this Warframe can easily go past 2 hours, so this S level Warframe. These are her abilities, and I'll just do it forward and move on to the next Warframe.
I'm still detecting a lot of infestation activity. Let's clean it up. A juggernaut nearby? It will only attack when it senses high concentrations of infested blood. Slow the fight if you want it to go away. That did it. Here comes the Juggernaut.
Attack us and we will counter.
Now, a very, very important thing to remember is when you're using this Warframe's ability, you must always cast the second energy vampire and then cast the first. Because if you cast the first and then you try to cast energy vampire on it, it won't work.
The enemy
So,
is broken.
second,
Well done.
first,
Now get to extraction.
and first, second. The sole purpose of this, like I said before, is to lock in the energy. Once you lock in the energy, you get energy, consistent energy returning from a person who's already dead. The body that you lock with the second abilities and the first is basically dead. And you can only free them from death when you turn off the first ability. But you don't want to do that because you need consistent energy over time. And of course, as you see, the third ability is a link ability, which allows you to have damage reduction over time, which keeps you alive for a ridiculous amount of time if you build it for long-standing duration, as in 254 duration, which means it will never have to come off until it runs out.
It is done, Tenno.
Another thing to remember, if you feel that you're about to die, like I died in that mission, is because you need to remember when to turn on the link ability and when to see that it's going to run out. In other words, you must always look in the lower right corner to see when your ability durations they run out. The moment the health of this Warframe starts to fall, you cast the fourth ability. And what's great about this Warframe is that this is the best healing Warframe in the game, because you just cast the fourth ability once and it returns the health of every Warframe within its duration or within its range vicinity. Like say my range is 100. Any Warframe that's within a range of 100 instantaneously have their health go back to normal, as well as their shields. Not only their health, but also their shields as well. So this is a godsend Warframe because their health is not multiplied over time or given over time, and the shields is not multiplied over time or given over time. It's instantaneously given back to you once the fourth ability is cast, which is imperative if you're doing a long survivor run. That's why this is an S tier Warframe. Not only is her energy imperative for other Warframes so they could keep doing a long survival, but the fourth ability is imperative so they could survive and keep going on in long survival. So her third ability is basically to keep her alive, while her second and her fourth ability is for every other Warframe within the vicinity, which is imperative for their survival. So yeah, this is a very helpful Warframe, and it's very necessary, and this Warframe has been around forever, and is still, if it's not the most best energy based Warframe to give energy to players, it is the second best energy Warframe to give energy to players, and that should say a lot because this game has been out for years, for about a full decade and counting. So this Warframe is still powerful more than 7 years later, more than 8 years later, and it's still powerful because I believe this Warframe came out during the beta period. And that is a good 8 years ago. So that said, this is always going to be an S plus Warframe for me because you could always take her first abilities and give her something better to increase the energy or to increase the blessing faster or to make the link even more powerful. And this is also a Warframe. If you don't like that, you could give a stun ability or crowd control ability to the first. Just remember, if you do that, it has to be in conjunction with the second ability, which means whatever you cast as you subsume on the first, you have to attach the link energy to that thing, and that thing cannot die in that process. So let's say if you use Volbon's fourth ability and everyone's plugged in, it will work with regards to that. So it has to be something that's not able to kill the enemy over time. It has to at least stay on them for a while so that the second works. In all truth, this is the only Warframe I've discovered in all of Warframe where the third Warframe in all of Warframe, that all of her abilities are beneficial and none are actually useless, because of first, as useless as you might think it is, it's really is a godsend when you connect both the second and the first together for long survival. So yeah, that said, that was basically Trinity. Of course, I didn't need to cast a fourth ability because when you use the fourth, you will instantaneously know what it is by yourself. So don't need to do that just to show it. It will be self-explanatory if you ever pick this Warframe. So this is an S plus Warframe, but this is an S plus Warframe from a support position, not a DPS, not really a crowd control. It's not the best crowd control Warframe, and that should knock it down from an S plus to an S. But because you can subsume one of her abilities, let's say the first, with a better crowd control or a better ability for the first, let's say you add a crowd control into her first ability, you now have added crowd control, a better crowd control than her link abilities, which is link is mostly to keep her alive than your fellow teammates alive. So let's say you add an ability to her first ability and remove her first ability, you've now added something to even make her even more powerful and more for support. So the fourth is a support and help people in your team health wise. The second is an energy to help everyone in your team energy wise, and if you subsume the first, you'll be able to help everyone in your team. It has to be something to help everyone within your team health wise or armor wise. So she can give both energy and health back. If you subsume something for a first ability, that would give armor back as well, or more damage per second back as well. That's incredibly powerful. This would make this Warframe like almost near God level. I don't think it is, but um, anything that goes beyond 2 hours to me, anything from 2 hours to 2.5 hours, or going past 2 hours to me, is already S plus level. So yeah, that was Trinity. I only died because I wasn't paying attention, and you have to pay attention to everything that's going on in the mission, otherwise you will die. Easy by you not using your abilities or understanding the mechanics of the Warframe, you could die. So always remember, as soon as you see an enemy, cast the first, cast the second, cast the first, cast the third. Or let's say you're in mission and the enemy doesn't allow you, or there are too many enemies in a room, and you can't cast the second and the second and the first fast enough before you get K'd out. So the obvious choice is to cast the first, which is to reduce damage reduction from every bullet or every person that's coming at you all at once. And then you cast the second, and then you cast the first. That's how I do it. I run into a room, I see a pile of dudes in the room, I put on the third, then I put on the second, then I put on the first. If there's only one guy in the room, energy vampire and the first. That's it. Now, if I'm low on energy, don't use the first. Use energy vampire, kill them. Make sure your entire energy ball is full. If it's not full by the first guy, go to the next guy. Fill up your entire energy bar, and then use the process of Link. Because this Warframe can survive for a long time before she even loses a lot of health. So yeah, that was Trinity. And this is Valkyr. I'm going to do the mission with Valkyr first, and then I'll describe her thereafter.
Juggernaut. They're lured out by the death of Infested. Lay low and it should go away, or amp up the fight to draw it out.
Or the Tenno.
Beware. Those lasers are linked to the poison tumor nodes growing on the airlocks. Contact with the lasers will put our operative in immediate peril. The infestation has spread to this location faster than anyone predicted. Everyone is gone, except our operative.
Take the stove, not a minute too soon.
You located the operative. Make sure they get to extraction alive. I am no longer detecting signs of a Juggernaut. Move on. You are safe.
For the Lotus. We fought with honor.
It is done, Tenno. These foes deserve your respect. Honor them with quick deaths, and I with your victory.
The reactor is a complex system. Start by removing the coolant cells. My intel suggests there are rich enemy supply caches in the area, but I am unable to pinpoint their exact location. Search them out if you are willing to shoulder the added risk. The reactor is going into stasis. Now is your chance to complete this sabotage. Use whatever you can to make sure it never works again. The reactor has gone critical. Get to extraction immediately.
strike to win. The lesson ends.
Alright, so this Warframe is, I would say, a B-level Warframe. I would say this Warframe is a B-plus Warframe. Maybe just a standard B-level Warframe. Its only saving grace is its fourth ability. With its fourth ability and having a certain amount of energy on you, you're able to escape death. And you're able to do a lot of lifesteal. Well, not a lot. Only like 5% of lifesteal. The sole purpose of this fourth ability is to make you invincible and allow you to kill during the process. I would say, let me look at this. I would say the first ability you could subsume, because it should be the most obvious one that's useless. Yes, it could traverse anywhere, but it's like a rip line, which is pointless. You don't need. You can find better Warframes that could do the ability. Warcry is its second best ability, and of course paralysis, or yeah, I would say even though it does damage multipliers, there are other Warframes that does better damage multipliers. So Warcry is the only one that's really good. So in general, she only has two abilities that are actually very good. And the reason why she's B is simply because you can subsume an ability for first to make her B level Warframe. I really wouldn't consider her B plus. At standard, she started from like say D, and then she became C when they nerfed her, and or should they buffed her, and then she was at C best. And then I would say she's like a B level Warframe. The only ability that really saves her from dying and should allow her to go past 1 hour or 1 hour and a half is her fourth ability. Without it, she's kind of pointless. So yeah, they really have to do something with this Warframe. Her fourth ability and her second shouldn't only be the abilities that are useful to herself and to others. So at best, this is a B average Warframe, anything from a B minus to about a B Warframe. So not one of the best Warframe. And only the fourth ability is really the best. And some, of course, the second, or some people say the second and the fourth, but at standard, this is a B minus Warframe. Yeah, I only use her when I want to do melee damage Warframe. So from a melee damage point, you could get her from B minus to B plus. That said, the next Warframe will be my last Warframe, and this is Vauban. I only have 2 minutes to describe Vauban, so I'm going to do it right now. First abilities, you can subsume that first. Second abilities is good. You can switch off. Third ability is very good. It's a crowd control and like a laser satellite bomb. And of course, the fourth ability is the best one. So 1, 2, 3. It started as a C level Warframe and became like a B level Warframe once they changed off his third ability. So this is like a B level Warframe. So I would say, based on this Warframe's ability, moving forward, this is A minus Warframe. The fourth ability is A plus level, but I wouldn't say this is Warframe would be considered S tier Warframe. So I'll do a standard mission and I'll show it. Hopefully this video doesn't go down for too long. If not, I'll have to do this video in another section with Vauban. I might be able to just do his abilities within just 1 minute. I think I should be able to do it, so I'm going to do it real quick. And thereafter, I'm just going to upload this by PlayStation.
For the Tenno.
Kinda useless. It's only useful. Doesn't really do much. Second ability, you would have to switch off and hold down the button.
Protect the unit while
Third ability,
the artifact.
you nuke them. But even that's not that great. And of course, the fourth ability is the best. Which isn't working for reasons I don't know why. It's probably internet. So I might have to do Vauban some other time. Because the energy is not dropping down. Yeah, the network is acting up, so I'll do Vauban some other time.